We're here not for a synth soundset walkthrough, but for a new episode of Let's Make a Noise with the Unfinished. What is that? If you haven't seen the first one, basically I just take you through some interesting synth programming ideas that are usually connected to the latest soundset that I'm releasing. So I'm about to release Diva Nordsund, which is a brand new synth soundset in the Nordsund series, which has previously been mostly for Zebra. Now I'm doing a Diva one. It's all about Nordic noir and contemporary drama sounds. So this one's a bit more analog. So what I thought I would show you here is one of the techniques that I've been using in that sound set, which is using the voice mapping. Because we have an ARP in Diva, and it's a nice little ARP. It works as you would expect it, but if you're like me, you're greedy, and you've always wanted a sequencer, and there isn't a sequencer in Diva. Or is there? Perhaps there is. No, there isn't. But we can use the voice mapping to kind of create a sequencer. Or can we? Yes, we can. Anyway, shall we take a look and see how that works? Are you interested? Come on then, let's have a look. Right, here's lovely Diva, looking superb, as always. We've got the standard sort of Roland Juno setup, and what we're going to do here is we're going to use this little thing, the Voice Map Modulator. This is going to turn our arpeggiator into a sequencer. How does that work, Matthew? Well, let me tell you. Let's start off with a really boring initialized patch. Actually, it sounds all right, you know. Okay, so what we want to do, we want an ARP. So that sounds nice, doesn't it? No. Okay, so let's make just the ARP sound a little bit nicer. So we'll have a slightly nicer envelope and bring the cutoff down a bit. And so. Right, so now we can clearly hear what it's doing. That's fine. Let's change that to last. That's simple enough, right? Yes, it is. Okay, so how on earth is the voice map modulator going to help us? Well, it's going to map the tuning is what it's going to do. So we're going to create ourselves a little melody. So we'll just switch this. I'm using the Roland Juno oscillators just because it's the easiest one to see what I'm doing. So I've selected both here because I want whatever we do here to affect both oscillators. Let's just pull them a couple of octaves apart. There we go. Nicer sound already. We're going to come over to this one because this one is the first one. It's on the left. I work left to right. You may differ. We're going to select quantize. Now, the reason we've done that is, I assume, it seems to work this way, is to give ourselves a bit more accuracy, so a bit more precision. I'm going to push that all the way up, so it's fully quantized. Now, basically, what this does is it allows us to work with, should we say, a larger palette of notes. So we come over here onto the modifications, and here's quantize, and here we select voice map. So the quantize is now controlling the voice mapping, so it's controlling the notes that we're playing. So as we're on, the clock is at 1/8, we're gonna select 8 voices. So now that means that all 8 voices in the voice map modulator are affected, or controlled, should we say, by the quantize and the voice map modulations that we're doing. So again, there we go. Boring, isn't it? Let's make it less boring, shall we? So let's start tuning, because this now acts effectively as a note tuner. So what we can do is quickly, let's just bring it down to 4, so we're only playing 4 notes. the timing is glitching because I noticed I was just practicing and it was absolutely fine. And now suddenly when I start using my screen recording software, the first note glitches out of time. So there we go. So immediately we have a sequence instead of an ARP, instead of just an ARP anyway. Okay, so now we can expand back to 8 voices and make it a little more interesting. Come on. My mouse has been deliberately unhelpful here. So there we go. So we've got our sequence. So now we're playing something melodic. The tuning's not perfect. I'm blaming my mouse for that one. There we go, that's better. Okay. So that's it. Well, that's not just it, but that is a very good example of how we can use the voice map modulator to create our own riff, as it were. Let's speed things up a bit, shall we? Let's go to 1/16 and add some drama. You know, chuck a delay on, and suddenly we've got the drama of and suddenly we're in sort of Berlin school territory. Now, another fun thing we can do here is, so at the moment we've got both oscillators playing that melody. Now what we can do is change that to just one of them. So let's go with, let's just have oscillator 1 being controlled by that quantize. So now we've got oscillator 2 just still playing, I'm playing A. So that's just going to play an A note now, and this is only applying now to oscillator 1. So I notice this is playing it in slightly random order. What's going on there? Right, I'm just going to sort of fiddle with it to make it go back. There we go. Now we're playing. Don't know what happened there. Analog, innit? It messes you around. So there we go. So now we've got. Oh, let's. So now oscillator 2 is just playing single notes. So it's now got quite a kind of fun analog modular vibe to it. And if we just bring this down, now it feels like we're playing a bass line and a top note. Isn't that fun? Yes, that is fun. So there we go. So now we've got one patch, and because we've got two oscillators, we've got ourselves a nice steady bass line with a melody kind of playing over the top. So let's just. Instantly into sort of Kraftwerkian kind of territory there, which is, really showing off what we can do. Now that's using the voice map modulator for tuning, but of course we can use it for other things as well, because these are just it's just measurements here, essentially, what is how we're using it. So it can be a measurement of anything. So what we could now do is affect the velocity, the volume at the same time. So if we select quantize again, because we know the quantize is controlling the voice map, so that gives us that precision we're after. So if we pull down the volume, let's say to about there, and we push the volume modulation, so what the voice map is controlling, up a bit, now we should see that these amounts, there's a better word that my brain is not finding this morning, now also control the volume. So the higher notes will be louder and the lower notes will be quieter. It's subtle because we've got subtle readings here. So let's push up those notes and pull down the ones in between, and that should, the tuning will be dreadful now. Actually, let's make the tuning absolute, so it's quiet, low notes. And okay, it's playing its own order again. There we go. So now we're hearing the high notes louder. We can accentuate this even further, obviously by pulling the main volume down. And so now what's a 16th note sequence? Feels like just an 8th note sequence. Now, it can be useful for that, but I don't think that's where it works at its best. What we're going to do is we're going to initialize the patch again. And I think it's more useful for when you're doing a drum loop. So we're going to select noise on oscillator 1 and just bring the mix right over. And again, we're just going to control the sound a bit better, so it's a bit punchier, a bit more easy to hear on here. So okay, we can do better. So just noise. And so what we can now do is create our rhythm with the voice map modulator. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we've got this right down, say here, and all the way up. And then come back to our trimmer. So we'll play a pattern. We'll have, let's go for every third note. That's quite a nice sort of action-y kind of rhythm. So what's happening there? Why is that not registering it at all? Because we haven't set anything up, you mentalist. Right. Quantize has to go to voice map. And then we come back here. And there. It helps if you actually set any of the things up that you actually want to happen. Right, so now let's go back. Oh, got that just 6, haven't we? So there you go. Now we haven't just got that sort of straight ARP sequence happening, which is what the ARP would naturally do. We've now got it playing a rhythm for us. So you can use these to control whatever you want. So we could bring this one up a bit. So now we've got that going. And I mean, if we're doing rhythms, we could always, right, let's split these and change that to envelope 2. Now we've got a little bit of a kick going on. So there we go, the voice map modulator now becomes a rhythmic sequencer for a drum loop that you want to do, which I think sounds pretty cool. Let's whack the delays on again. Take a bit of the low end out. Fun, huh? Isn't that exciting? Yes. Now, actually, now this is something I haven't tried before. World exclusive. Well, me exclusive. You may have already done it. So obviously we're using the volume here. Now, what if we also use the filter? So let's select quantize on the filter. So it should be even more stark. That's interesting, isn't it? So now, as well as controlling the volume, I'm controlling the filter here. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so there you go. So we're now still sequencing the filter. So let's give that a go with. Let's go back to having a fairly standard. Let's have a little bit of a bass line going on, shall we? Oh, let's speed it up. Let's have the action, shall we? So if we come here and now here's a little handy tip that we can bust into here as well. Back on the modifications, add is quite useful when you want one option, should we say, one option like the filter here to be controlled by two things at once. So we're already having it controlled by envelope 2. Now, if we set up, let's remember to do it this time, shall we? Quantize with the voice map again. So we're using that to control it. Then if we put quantize in here, there, and then we change this to add, that means this is now being controlled by envelope 2 and quantize. So we've got the envelope punch that we want, plus the quantize. So at the moment that won't do anything different. I'll go with 8 notes again. So now what we can do is change the filter movement on it. Let's just play that again. Filter pumping, and let's pump a little bit with the okay, hang on. Now let's do it the other way around. Okay, bear with me, I am about to try something. Let's see if it works. So I am going to do them all at once. So let's add quantize here. And let's also do it over here for one of these. So we're controlling the tuning, the filter, and the volume, the velocity at the same time. Let's see what happens. Okay. So we're getting the pumping, but it's not really working for this, is it? There we got there in the end. Just need a bit of fine tuning. So we're now pumping this, the amp, the filter, and also the tuning. Now we're getting both. So now we've got a nice Eurodance 90s bass line going. Let's have this one doing something. What's that doing? Oh, I know. That'll be better. Well, that's quite fun, isn't it? So there you go. This little thing is controlling our filter and our tuning and our amplification. Now that's just three obvious examples. You can get really funky and start trying to control all sorts of things. So yes, Voice Map Modulator, lots of fun. And it basically creates a sequencer for Diva. You've just got to get tune in the parameters that you want. Parameters! That's the word I was trying to remember. That's the word I wanted. Oh, God. Yes. So, I hope that's been a little bit useful and fun and interesting to see. We've learned a little bit about the Voice Map Modulator and even the add function here. There's lots of other functions. I suppose quantize function as well, yeah. There's lots of other things here that you'll find when you buy Diva Nordsund, that you'll be able to look into some of the patches and see what I've done there too. But for the time being, that's been episode 2 of Let's Make a Noise. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If this is the first one you've seen, go and check out the first one that I did with Serum as well. And hopefully there'll be some more soon. Ta-ta for now!